Continuing our series and our conversation on homelessness here in the state of Arizona. Joining me now is former Governor Doug Ducey. Welcome back.
Good to be back, Mike. Good to see you.
I want to start by asking the obvious question. How are things now that you're no longer in office? You get retirement?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's retirement. I'd say it's more like temporarily unemployed, but for lack of a better word, it's been a bit of a sabbatical. So I've been able to spend a lot of time with Angela and the boys and do some traveling. It's been great.
Well, I know that long before you were governor, you've been invested in the community and making things better in the community. And homelessness has really spiked in the last couple of years in Arizona, much more than the national average. Can you give me some perspective, having been in the office you were on homelessness, from what you saw in the governor's office?
Well, this is an issue that requires attention. It is traditionally a city issue or a municipality issue. It is, of course, homelessness has always existed to some degree in Arizona, but I think some of the things that have happened around growth, inflation, rise in housing prices, rise in rental prices has definitely shown the other edge or the other side of the coin of high growth and a dynamic economy. So this is just something that needs to be addressed. I think we can take a page out of Seattle and Portland and San Francisco and LA and know that's not the way to do it. In many ways, they have what I would call a homeless industrial complex. Every time they get more money for homelessness, they get more homeless people. These are oftentimes people that need services. They need things to be addressed. There's alcoholism and addiction and drugs and mental health and people that are just down on their luck for whatever reason. So there is a way to do this. It requires some resources. It requires some tough love. And there's a way where Arizona can be a leader on how to do this in a humane and compassionate way. But the mayors of these cities are going to have to wake up and quit ignoring it, quit pointing at other mayors in other cities as if it doesn't exist. There is also a role for the state government as well, but that would be more around resources in terms of actions, facilities, and next steps. That's required at the city level.
One of the things that's been discussed, and me coming from the construction industry, is the red tape and trying to get things through zoning and the sheer expense of projects to get affordable housing built. Because, when you start a project, when you're hiring engineers and architects and lawyers, it adds to the expense of that project and the duration of getting a project done. Is there room legislatively at the state level, or does that also need to be controlled? Because it seems to be the cities that hold this up. But can the state do something, and should they?
Well, we reduced a lot of regulations. I love to brag on the 3,000 regulations we eliminated. I think it was close to $200 million in terms of what it was in terms of reducing the budget or equivalent tax cut. And of course, the cities can do this, and they know how to do it. They just need to act on this. It needs to be something that can be addressed. We've seen how it has spread here in Phoenix. I don't want to act as if it wasn't here several years ago, but you've seen how different it is right now. And I think the New York Times even did a profile on what the sub shop was going through down there, and it really made you sympathetic to not only what's happening with the business owners, but what's happening with these people, because it's certainly not humane to let people just stay on the street like this. So we lost somebody several years ago, Mike McQuaid. We called him Big Mo. I think you had met him.
Yep.
And he was someone who had a real ability to connect the private sector, the governmental sector, and the philanthropic sector. And he was a leader on the human services campus, what goes on at CAS. Mike McQuaid's not coming back, but there are elected leaders at the city level, Phoenix, Mesa, Scottsdale, Tempe, and others that can address this in a proactive, civil, and humane way. And it's time. I actually think it's ripe for Arizona to demonstrate the right policy to do this, to remove people from harm's way, and to also put the law-abiding citizen and the business owner in a position to live their life in safety.
One of the projects we highlighted, St. Vincent de Paul, has got a partnership with the city of Phoenix in a shelter that's been open for about a year, and it is about transitional housing. It's not just getting people off the street, but getting them whatever tools or services they need where they're transitioning from that shelter into their own homes. And it seems to be working well because St. Vincent de Paul is so good at what they do. So that's the kind of public-private partnership partnership that you're talking about.
Amen. Steve Zablinski at St. Vincent de Paul does a great job, but last I checked, I think they're at capacity.
Yeah.
And they've added capacity. So of course, the state and the cities and municipalities can bring resources to this, but it's actually better to work with the Steve Zablinskis and the St. Vincent de Pauls of the world to actually get this done. And there's a way to do it where we can help people, we can hold them accountable, and like I said, have a safer city and a safer state, which is really why we're all here, isn't it? I mean, we enjoy an incredible quality of life here, and we traditionally have been proactive on these issues, and it's time to act on this one.
I appreciate the time. I knew you would have some insight from the perspective you came from in the office, so I appreciate it.
You got it. Thanks,
All right.
Mike.